Good afternoon, Hawks. This is Josh Wellikson, proud principal of Esencia. I know many of you have questions and concerns. We may not have all the answers, but we're working hard to answer and respond to each and every one. Today, I want you to know how much our staff and I miss and love you. Esencia is not the same place without you. When we opened our doors in 2018, we committed to building a culture where caring and connecting was a non-negotiable. Since we cannot be in the same area, we are going to have to find different ways to connect. So today, I'd like to take this opportunity to do a read aloud. I got this idea from my wonderful wife, who is a spectacular first grade teacher in Santa Ana. So sit back and enjoy a little story time with your proud principal. Today's book, When I Grow Up, by Al Yankovic. Your parents may know him as the famous singer Weird Al Yankovic. You might want to look him up. I waited so long for hours to pass, but soon it was noon there in Miss Crump's class. And Thursday at noon, as I'm sure you all know, it's the time of the week when we do show and tell. And this week, and the subject so special to me was, when I grow up, what am I going to be? That's something I really been thinking about, and I just couldn't wait to let all those thoughts out. So when Miss Krupp said, "Who's ready to share?" you can guess who was there with his hand in the air. I raised both my hands just as high as they'd go, and I bounced up and down, and then, what did you know? Well, Miss Krupp picked me, yes, me, to go first. Oh, I was so happy I thought I would burst. I proudly stood up and began my oration concerning my choice for a future vocation. Esteemed friends and colleagues and dear Mrs. Krupp, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. Why, I'll be the greatest chef you've ever seen. The world will go crazy for my hot cuisine. I'll tantalize taste buds with my rigatoni, sautéed with black truffles and pickled bologna. Surrounded by kumquats and candied pig's feet, topped with shrimp-flavored lollipops, bon appetit. My walls will be filled with awards that I've gotten for toast on a stick and my Twinkies au gratin. My kitchen will be the most famous in France, so make reservations 12 years in advance. There's no doubt about it. I'm certain, you see, a world-renowned chef is what I'm going to be. That's very nice, Billy, sweet Mrs. Krupp said. Who wants to be next? Maybe Susie or Fred. I said, hold the phone now, I haven't departed. Hang on to your seats, 'cause I'm just getting started. See, maybe instead I could be a snail trainer. Man, that would be awesome. Why, that's a no-brainer. I'll teach all my snails to do really neat tricks. They'll play dead, roll over, and even fetch sticks. Of course, all the sticks will come back 2 years later, but working with snails, I mean, what could be greater? They'll do any stunt that I like, holy moly. I'll train them to pedal a bike really slowly. Then jump, ooze, through a huge ring of fire and crawl out snail's pace across a high wire. Then finish by writing my name with their trails. That's right, I'll be Billy, the master of snails. Or else maybe I'll be a lathe operator who makes the hydraulic torque wrench calibrator, which fine-tunes the wrench that's specifically made to retighten the nuts on the lateral blade. That's directly beneath the main radial sockets inside cooling systems on X-14 rockets. And since this profession's as cool as can be, well, who would be better to do it than me? Say, here's an idea. Perhaps just for laughs, I might make my living milking giraffes. It's oh so cliche to get milk from a cow, and I bet all those cows need a break anyhow. Imagine me milking way up in the air. I'd use a tall ladder instead of a chair. What? Milking giraffes? Mrs. Krupp said. Oh, please. I countered. How else could we make giraffe cheese? Now don't interrupt me. I'm not really through yet. There's a lots of stuff that I'm planning to do yet, because maybe I'll be a gorilla masseuse, or an artist who sculpts out of chocolate mousse, or a rodeo clown, or a movie director, or maybe a professional pickle inspector, or big sumo wrestler, or hedge fund investor, or smelly pit sniffing deodorant tester. Or I'll be an expert at nuclear fission, or else a foot model or friendly mortician, or a waiter or skater or Lego creator, or dinosaur dusting museum curator, or TV repairman or sidewalk sign waver, or part-time assistant tarantula shaver. And that's about when Mrs. Krupp said, "Now, Billy, please make up your mind. This is getting quite silly. Which one of those things are you going to choose?" I shuffled around and looked at my shoes. And finally I said, "My great-grandfather Bob's been a whole lot of things. Had a whole bunch of jobs: a butcher, a barber, a bellman, a bouncer, a telephone psychic, and bingo announcer. You know what? He just turned 103, and he's still not quite sure what he wants to be. See, I'm only 8 now, so frankly, I'm hoping you'll cut me some slack if I leave options open. Let's just wait and find out what my future brings. Hey, I might have time to do all those things." And when the bell rang and we all went to lunch, and as I was sipping my pineapple punch, I pondered professions that I'd like to enter, like brave firefighter or crazy inventor. Or maybe, just maybe now, when I grow up, I can be a great teacher like dear Mrs. Krupp. The end. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. After listening to this story, why don't you have a discussion with someone about what you want to be when you grow up? On behalf of the Hawk staff, we miss you, we love you, and when the time is right, I can't wait to have you back in class. I'm an Esencia Hawk and proud of it.